Okay, so this is a demonstration of a failover. We're using Windows Server 2019. This has a feature called failover cluster, and this is basically it's going to switch from one computer to the other. We've got two servers running, which is that computer here and a computer down here, and we've got a computer here just to sort of watch the two computers, which are known as nodes. We call them node 1 and node 2. And as you can see in our failover cluster manager, we can see both node 1 and node 2 are online. They have a partition of their hard drive, which is mirrored across both computers, and then sitting on these two nodes is a virtual machine in Hyper-V. And I can actually, if I click on roles, I can see my virtual machine, and I can even connect to that. And if I log on, so this is the virtual machine that's basically sitting on the two nodes. It'll have a master node and it'll have a slave node that it will switch to. And I can see, I can look at my GuardPoint10. Which is the server here, and then we also have a laptop which we can look at here. There, that's our workstation. And then on the right hand side we've got basically a constant ping going to our virtual machine to see when if it disconnects and when it fails over. So back on the server, you can see here, I can log in, and we can see we've got a controller set up here with the one reader with it, active polling, and we've got a fob enrolled. So the system is working. You can see we've got events coming in on the workstation. So now we will emulate a failover, and we'll have a look at our nodes. Both are up. So at the moment, the primary machine that's being used is node 2, which is this computer. But does it really matter if I was to say disconnect the redundant one? There'll be no delay. But I'm going to disconnect node 2. And then we'll be able to see straight away on the workstation, which is pinging the server, the request is timed out. So now there's a waiting game. The two nodes, the two servers, will be sending a heartbeat to each other. And there'll be a certain parameter that will then expire for it to go, oh, hang on, the heartbeat has stopped. So the second server down here is going to say, oh, I can no longer talk to the first server. And then it'll go, right, it's my job now to take over. We can see on the workstation has now lost connection to that main server. And we can actually see on our cluster manager, on this screen here, we can actually see that node 2 has failed. So it's gone down. And now node 1, if I click on roles, it's now, the virtual machine has now switched to the owner of node 1. And if I click on it, I should get a preview. You can see that node 1 has now decided, right, I need to take over. And then it's loading up that virtual machine, which has the same IP as before, to replace the node 2. And we can see it's just taking its time to load up, and you've got a little preview screen. The workstation can actually now see that it's pinged. It can ping. It's gotten a reply from the server, which is now coming up on node 2, and now that's going to be loading, and it'll be starting to start the GuardPoint10 services. And actually we can already see here the controller is, the network manager has started, as the controller is now polling again. So now it's just the case for now the workstation to realise that it's now the server's back up and to reconnect. I can connect again to that virtual machine just to see where it's getting to. And actually, you can see now the workstation has actually already noticed that the server's back on. And because we've got polling, if I do a swipe of a few events, we can see the transactions coming through. So that's, if we just leave that, that is now fully redundant. So I could now plug the main node 2 back in, and then I would need to wait again until they've realised that the node 2 is back up and they can synchronise back together. And you can see it's joining and now it's back up. So now essentially I could now do the same thing again, and I could say disconnect this server and the same process would happen. So that's failover with GuardPoint10, and that only requires one license because it's just the one virtual machine, which is the server which is running on the servers.